Hey, good afternoon. Getting ready to go live here in our MREA book club, Mastermind. I'll give it just a moment for a few people to show up. Wanted to say thank you to Ben for inviting me to do this, especially on receiving $1 million. So I'll give you just a minute to hop on here. All right, Ben, so if you'll make a comment, if you're on so far, just so I know that you're on and you can see me okay. You can tell me that you like my flowers or that my hair looks good, whichever is appropriate is fine. I saw a like, so I'll just go with that. Oh, Benjamin's on. All right, good. Well, let's get started then. Coming through loud and clear. Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, so I was asked to, and I got some notes here for myself too, so please excuse me if I'm looking at that. I've been given the opportunity to talk about receiving $1 million, specifically from the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book that Gary wrote. And we're going to be on pages 263 to 285. So if you want to take a look at the book after this, 263 to 285. And I've got some key points that I wrote down, and I won't take a lot of your time today. And thanks for being a part of this Mastermind book club series for a number of weeks now. And thank you, Ben, for putting it together. So my name is Cody Gibson, and I'm coming to you live from Portland, Oregon, where I have the Portland Real Estate Group, which is our MREA level real estate business, which will sell a couple hundred homes this year. And then also from that, we launched our expansion business, which is United Home Group, which today operates in 73 different markets across the country, 73 different cities. And I believe we're either in 16 or 17 different states with about 137 or 138 partners. So we're absolutely deep into expansion, enjoying it, loving it, and probably making every mistake we possibly could. And in fact, this morning I was on a call with Texas and New Mexico, thanks to Seychelles, one of my great friends, who had myself and Fred Weaver there, and we were talking about some of the mistakes that we had made, and we talked about the MREA models a little bit. So it works perfect with today's conversation. So a couple of things if you're taking notes. Number one, if you're going to talk about receiving $1 million, you have to be willing to first, well, here's the deal. You have to gross a whole hell of a lot more money than $1 million to receive $1 million or to net $1 million, right? And a couple of the key points would be this. You either work for money or money works for you. And one of the points I want you to think about, and this is something that Gary Keller taught me early on in my walk or time with him, is that you know, you can either work to earn or work to learn. And I think one of the things that we overlook sometimes is that we get in and want to go, man, we want to get right after it. We want to start working to earn money. And I don't know anybody who works to earn. I mean, without first being willing to work to learn the models, learn the systems, learn the processes that have to be done. And you know, the issue is this: if you're going to build a 7th level MREA level business, or I don't even like the word team, you know, and gosh, just the whole idea of team. I wrote a blog about this a couple of years ago and posted it to, didn't post it. I put it on Facebook, and then I also sent it out to all of my agent followers about how teams are for 5-year-olds on the soccer field. You know, teams you get rewarded for trying. Teams you get rewarded for showing up. In the real estate sales business, there's no reward for showing up. There's no participation trophy. You're either going to get paid or you're not going to get paid, and that's just a fact. So if you're going to build a 7th level real estate business, you're going to have to make peace with the fact that for a long time, probably longer than you even want to imagine, you're going to have to make peace with and be okay with working to learn. And then at some point you take those learnings and you move them into earnings. And what I also want you to think about is this: you know, everybody knows, like people will say, listen, you know, in life sometimes you got to take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward. And we'll say that like we even understand what the world we're talking about. And the truth is we don't understand it. And if we did understand it, we would do it more often. Or we just haven't made peace with it yet. We go, oh yeah, we got to take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward. Well, that makes all the sense in the world until you're 1 step back and you're about to take that 2nd step back, and all of a sudden you go, whoa, are you kidding me? I don't want to take a 2nd step back. I'm out of here. And all of a sudden you stop doing what you were doing, and because you do that, you never ever get to take those 3 steps forward. The truth is you will be taking 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward, especially when it comes to receiving $1 million. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to go through this transformation, and Gary talks about it in the MREA book, right? He talks about how you're going to go from I do it to we do it to they do it. Now, if you're taking notes, here's the thing. As a real estate agent, in the I do it phase, like when I was brand new, it was I do it. I ordered the sign, I got the MLS input sheets filled out, I went to the people's home, and I walked through all the forms. I had them signed. When it was time for the home inspection, you get the idea. I do it, I do it, I do it. And you know what? I sold that, and I sold that with the client, saying, listen, when you need something, I'm it. When you need something, call me or text me or email me, and I'm on it. Well, the problem is if you want to earn more money than your own ceiling of earning potential, and I'd write it down, ceiling of earning potential, if you'd like to break through that, you're going to have to move to we do it. And when you go to we do it, I want you to think about being a manager. So if we think about fast food restaurants, right? If you opened a burger shack and you were on the beach somewhere, it'd be I do it. You'd be flipping the burgers, you'd be cooking them, and all of a sudden you'd go, well, shoot, I'd like to earn more money than this, so now it becomes we do it. Well, the challenge with we do it, if you're taking notes, is this. We do it is all about management. It's all about keeping the status quo, and it's all about managing the processes or systems that you have to have. So it's a manager's job. Think about a manager at McDonald's. That manager at McDonald's might be floating around back there, and that manager at McDonald's, as soon as things are busy, comes out and takes the next order. The manager at McDonald's, if the line of food gets too long, they're back there making some of the food. Well, there might be an owner of that McDonald's franchise who comes by once a week, once a month, once a year, or just has managers who come by for them. And so there's a difference between I do it to we do it to they do it. Now, there's a giant mistake between we do it to they do it. And here's what I want you to get, and I'd write it down. The mistake between we do it to they do it is no longer about systems and models, it's about accountability. The managers have to have systems and models. The ownership or leadership, if you will, has to have the accountability. The problem is what got you from I do it to we do it wasn't the accountability. And what moves you from we do it to they do it is also not accountability. And so the problem with it is you're going to have to make peace with the fact that you're going to have to keep evolving and changing. In fact, Gary said it this way once in Quantum Leap. He said, listen, upon our lives or during our lives or our businesses, we will probably end up having to go through 6 or 8 massive transformations about who we are, reinventions of who we are. And I want you to think about how, in fact, this morning here in Portland, Bruce Hardy was in town teaching the ALC clinic, and he made a great point, and I was thinking about it, knowing I was going to do this webinar or do this Facebook Live today. I want you to think about having real estate agent island and business owner island. And between these two islands are like shark-infested waters, right? And for you to go from one island, real estate agent island, to real estate business owner island, there's a tightrope between the two islands, and they're shark-infested. And you're going to have to walk across this tightrope. The problem, though, is that you have to balance. And so you're going to be handed, everyone's handed like this balance beam, right? Like a broomstick. And on one side of the broomstick is a bucket filled with all of your sales skills. On the other side of the broomstick, though, for balancing, is a bucket that's full of all of your leadership skills, accountability skills, the ability to hold things accountable, the ability to work through others. And you know what happens is, in the I do it phase of our business, if something needs to be done, we jump in and we do it. And it's almost like pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. And because that works to varying degrees, that becomes our success formula, and then we just apply it to everything. The problem with that is it doesn't work for very long, and it certainly won't push you through any type of earning capacity or earning ability. And the truth is, until you're willing to build a vision so big that other people can live their vision within yours, you're never going to move to a they-do-it business, and you're never going to have to even worry about receiving $1 million. Now, here's the other piece, right? So you're on this tightrope, and you've got this broomstick, and you've got this bucket and this bucket, and all of a sudden, of course, which one's going to be weighted, right? And what got you here certainly won't get you there. Now, in United Home Group, we read a book together every month, and one of the books we read this last month, or maybe it was 2 months ago, was by Jay Abraham, talking about getting all you can out of everything you've got. If you've not read the book, man, check out the book. And one of the ideas or philosophies he talks about is what got you here won't get you there. So here's the deal. So you've been in business for a while. Maybe you're at level 4, level 5, level 6 of the MREA level model, and you're going after this unicorn level of level 7. One of the things I've also learned about level 7 is that level 7 MREA does look different for different people. I don't know that I know very many people, and Gary talks about it in the MREA book, right? He says, listen, the reason that we talk about the 7th level being like climbing Mount Everest is that very few people have done it. And getting to the 7th level of an MREA level business, very few people have done it. Well, in 2018, it's not even 2018. In 2017, very few people have done it. And you know what? No one's done it the exact same way, and it's okay. It's okay that it's not the exact same way. You know, people have this idea that it's going to be passive. I want you to think about it like this. Owning a business is never 100% passive. It's just not. It's not 100% passive. At no point are you going to build this 7th level real estate business and all of a sudden have all these correct hires and just go to some beach and receive checks. That doesn't work. I don't know anybody who does it. And by the way, if you're writing notes, write this down. When times of crisis show up, the very best leaders will be found on the ground in their boots. They will be found right there, boots on the ground, part of the process. And when the market shifts, when times change, you know, Gary Keller is working so hard right now on technology within Keller Williams. And he's saying, listen, here's the deal. Technology is a crisis within our organization and our industry. And Keller Williams is making this massive transition over to being a technology business. So guess who's helping to run those meetings? Gary Keller's right there in it, boots on the ground, part of the process, part of the dialogue. At no point do you ever truly become passive. So I just want you to think about that, and I want you to get rid of that idea in your mind. Now here's some of the other notes I wrote, right? Another one is this. You either work for it or it works for you. And there's a rhythm to it. There's a rhythm, and the rhythm goes like this. You first work for it, and it big money. You first work for it, and then after you've spent enough time working for it, you go back to school, and you understand and learn how you take money that you're working to earn. You have to go back to school, and you figure out what that looks like to make that money work for you. Many people can turn left, find sales, turn right, find sales. They can make a really handsome income. The challenge with making a really handsome income that way is it's all based on you. The second you stop turning left or stop turning right, all of a sudden your income stops. All of a sudden the amount of money that you can earn stops, and then the amount of lives that you can impact or change stops. One of the reasons I started an expansion back in 2011 was that I wanted to leave a thumbprint on enough people's lives. That mattered to me. I've always made a handsome income. I work hard. I do the right things. I'm a good, honest person. I'm good at what I do. So of course I make a great income. Though if I'm going to value my worth in business that way, well then I'm not a business. I'm simply a sole practitioner. And you know, I think we do a disservice because we tell real estate agents, you're a business, you're a business, you're a business. Now the truth is we're self-employed. When you hire people and you have payroll and budgets and balance sheets, well, yeah, now then you become a business. And it's okay. Make peace with whatever level you're on. If you're on level 3 of the MREA, be okay at level 3. Just don't be okay there very long. Move on to level 4. If you're at level 4, be okay with level 4. Just not for very long, and be willing to move on to level 5. Here's the thing. The 7th level is a great option. You can become passively rich, and you can receive $1 million multiple different ways. The problem is, for most of us, the old adage of it takes money to make money rings true. And I don't know about you, I've never been given a great deal of money. I've earned a great deal of money by working to earn it. Though I've never just had a great deal of money, so just taking a bucket of money and doing something with it was never one of the options. I had to go and earn it and then learn how to do something with it to go and parlay that or use that to go and receive $1 million. Now, another idea is this. Passive isn't passive. You're never going to just not touch it. And the thing is this, you think about, especially in the world of real estate, in the world of building a 7th level real estate business, at what point do you just stand back and go, cool, I hope this goes well? Well, that doesn't happen because most of us got to that 7th level by working hard for our clients. Most of us got to that 7th level by caring deeply about customer service, by caring deeply about what we do and how we do it and what our name means. So at no point do I know anybody that says, cool, you know, here's this baby I've built, I hope you take care of it. No one does that. Nobody does that, and it's okay. So passive is never going to be passive. There's 3 massive hires you still have to make. If you're going to move all the way into receiving $1 million, those 3 big hires, those 3 critical key hires are still a lead listing specialist or a lead listing manager, whatever title you want to give it, a lead buyer specialist or lead buyer manager, whatever title you want to give it. Though the third, which is actually the first anyway, is that lead administrator. or lead operations. In the size of our business, we're on track to sell about 1,000 homes this year, and so we call that side of our business operations, more so even than administration, though it's the same thing in the MREA book. And so you're going to have to make those hires, and you're going to have to defend those hires, and you're going to stand your ground on those hires. In other words, if you want to hope to receive $1 million from your business, you're going to have to put a stake in the ground and say, I am betting on these hires. I'm placing a bet on them, taking all the chips on my table, if you will, if you're playing poker, and I'm putting all these chips into the center of the table, and I'm betting on that person. And when I say those words, if you start to go, whoa, whoa, I'm not sure I can do that, I'm not sure I'm willing to do that, then you might have the wrong person in one of those 3 seats. And the reality is this: I don't know anybody, nobody, I do not know one 7th level MREA level business who's made all 3 of those hires perfectly and never had to replace them. Are you kidding me? Man, we've got to get better at this, and it takes time sometimes. And the truth is this: you think about hiring people. I get to travel the country and teach career visioning, and before that I taught our old curriculum of Recruit Select. Here's the deal: nobody in our industry is going to make enough hires to become naturally amazing at hiring people. If you're a human resources manager for a giant company, so like here in Portland where I live, where all cool things come from. Here in Portland, we have Nike, and Nike has great human resources departments, and they might make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds or thousands of hires per year. Well, you know what? Those people become real good at making hires. I'm not going to make hundreds and hundreds or thousands of hires directly, so how on earth am I ever going to become that good? And so you're going to have to upgrade this talent and upgrade these hires. If it makes you nervous to bet everything on them, you're living some type of a delirium, because you're already betting everything on them. Listen, I want you to think about those 3 key hires you have, especially if you're at level 5, 6, or 7 of the MREA level. You're already betting it all. You're already betting your children's future on that. You're already betting your savings on that, and you're already betting theirs as well. And if you're a great steward of money, you're going to make your stand on those hires, and you're going to stand on the throat of that hire to make sure that it performs and make sure that it produces. Now, a couple of other key thoughts, and then I gotta get you guys out of here because I want to respect your time. The other thing is this: I'm convinced that we're trying to use intensity to solve a consistency problem. And so we get stuck, we get behind, we fall off the wagon. And so what we do is we take ourselves and we go and we get real intense. We go, all right, I'm going to lead gen like crazy. I'm going to hire like crazy. And we use intensity. And as soon as we remove the initial pain, all of a sudden we quit using the intensity. It's kind of like when you look down at the scale and you go, I don't like being this heavy. I've put on 5 pounds. How'd this happen? Boom! You go right back to drinking a bunch of water. You go right back to eating correctly, right back to exercising correctly. And the challenge is you're using intensity, when in reality, the only magic pill that exists is not intensity, though it does rhyme with it, it's consistency. The only thing that works over time is consistency. And for you to receive $1 million, like the MREA level model talks about, it's consistency. It's consistency in activity. It's consistency in being a steward of money. It's consistency of learning what it looks like to be a business owner. And remember, you're going from I do it to we do it. That's a big step, man. And then you go from we do it to they do it. It's a bigger step. In fact, the jump from we do it to they do it is 3 or 4 times the brain damage of I do it to we do it. Because I do it to we do it, you're still hearing everything. There was a time as an MREA level business, I was in the same room with the buyer's agents or listing specialists, and I could overhear what they were saying. And I could go, hey, say this instead. Hey, do that instead. I've been a bold coach for years, and I can say, whoa, whoa, hang on a second. Stop. That's not the script. We use this script. Well, that's great when it's we do it. We're right there. Think about the manager at McDonald's. They see the burger being made wrong. They go, stop right there. We don't do it like. Well, the problem is, as soon as you go from we do it to they do it, all of a sudden you've been removed. You don't get to hear everything anymore. And so now you have to stand on the systems and the models that your business has. And furthermore, you have to stand on your ability to hold them accountable and your ability to stand on them and say, no, we don't deviate from this. This is what we do. If we're a burger stand, we're not making tacos. You might be great at making tacos, though if we're a burger stand, we don't make tacos here. And if we're a taco stand, we don't make burgers here. Listen, you can do anything, you probably can't do everything. You just can't. So get real clear on that and say, look, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And one of the things I've learned is this: you only need 3 or 4 avenues of lead generation to receive or earn $1 million. You don't need 20. You darn sure don't need 50, though do 50 exist? Yeah, the reality is 50 exist, 100 probably exist, 200 probably exist. And the truth is you can't do that many anyway, so get real clear on 2 or 3, maybe 4. Think about it like a stool, right? If that stool has 1 leg, that's not very stable. That's called a pogo stick. And if that stool has 2 legs, you might be able to balance a little bit, though you're constantly having to use counterbalance. If you've got 3 legs, you're probably stable. The problem with 3 legs is that if someone comes by and kicks out one of those legs, you go back to being unstable at best. If they kick out 2 of those legs, you go back to being a pogo stick, down you go. So what we're looking for is 4 or 5 legs on that stool. And that's how I want you to look at your lead generation, because at the end of the day, if you're going to receive $1 million, your lead generation has to be spot on. You have to be doing it. The problem is, can't do it all. So we come back from these events, we come back from these trainings, we come back from these classes, and we have all these amazing ideas, and of course we set out to implement them, and we end up doing none. Listen, we don't have a strategy problem in our industry, we have an execution problem in our industry. We don't have an idea problem in our industry, we have an execution of the ideas we already have problem. And the only way to execute at the highest possible level is to make peace with coaching. Now, I'm a big proponent of MAPS coaching, and I think you ought to hire a MAPS coach. I've got 2 MAPS coaches that coach me personally. One coaches me on leadership, and one coaches me on the sales and the business. I've got to have both, and they matter to me. Here's what I've also learned. I'm the least likely person to move me from where I am to where I want to be. So I want you to think about it like this. If your business is earning $1 million, then that would be a gross. That's not your net. I don't know anybody who grosses $1 million and nets $1 million at the same time. You gross $1 million, maybe your net is 200 or 300 or 400 or 500, whatever. I don't know anybody who grosses much or nets that much more of a percentage than 40 or 50% though. I mean, the MREA model was built on 41%. And depending on how leveraged you'd like to be, you might be living in the 20 or 22 or 18% range sometimes. Well, that's okay. Welcome to my world most of the time. Though remember, a smaller percentage of a larger piece is still a bigger whole. So here's what I mean. Would you like to have half of a grape or a tenth of a watermelon? A tenth of a watermelon is a whole lot more fruit than half a grape. So we can sit around and brag about how I got half a grape and someone else down the street has 10% of a watermelon. They've still got more. They can still do more and have more impact with that. So think about that when you're thinking about this. So in summing this up and receiving $1 million, you're going to have to use these four MREA level models and be okay with the fact that it's going to take some time. Get some help along the way. Attend Bold. Get a MAPS coach. Get a second MAPS coach. I know people who have 3 or 4. That's okay. That's fine. You're the only person who will hold you back from where you'd like to go. And my point is this. If you're making $1 million, though not receiving $1 million, then you think like someone who makes $1 million. Good job. That's awesome. That's probably where you wanted to be when you weren't there before. Well, now you're there and you want to be the person who thinks like someone who nets or earns or keeps or receives $1 million. That's okay. You just got to upgrade your thinking. I'll leave you with this thought. If you'd like to upgrade your income, you have to upgrade the way you look at income. If you'd like to increase the amount of money that you make, then you're going to have to increase your standards around money. To increase your standards around money isn't natural. I don't think it's a natural thing. I think it's an unnatural thing. And oh, by the way, we all get comfortable with whatever we're earning. Well, what I want you to do is blast yourself out of that comfort, and I want you to pretend like you don't have any. One of the greatest things I'll do sometimes is I pretend like I'm broke. I pretend like everything is gone. You know, I'm not a big napper, and if I find myself napping sometimes, I will fly off the couch. And you know, maybe one of the greatest days of my life is I got married on Sunday, and my then fiance Krista, now my beautiful bride, my wife Krista, knows this. If I sleep in. If I sleep in too late, I come flying out of bed like I've lost everything. I come flying out of bed like we've got no money, like we're destitute, the team fell apart, the business fell apart, and you know what? That's been my mindset for years. And if you act like that's happening, you're going to take the necessary actions to keep it from happening. Never can I just rest and go, okay, everything's great, off we go. I don't know a time that happens. So, all right, so I have no idea. Well, that's almost a half an hour. So I told Ben I'd be about 15 or 17 minutes. Go back and check out pages 250. 263 to 285. Key points: passive isn't passive. It's working on the business instead of in the business. And you know, when you're moving to on the business, that also takes some time. You're going to have a challenge with that because you're used to working in it. And I don't know anybody who goes to working on the business to never revisit working in the business. You're going to end up with two jobs at the same time. You're going to be in the business guy and on the business guy. That's okay. Just get used to that. Just know it won't last forever, and you might have to throw more time at it, you know. And so many people, I know I said I was done, I'm not done. If you're done, then you can just hit stop and go do something else. You know, one of the things is this: so many people would love to earn more money and not put in more time. I don't know anybody who just goes and earns more money. Like I teach a class, how to double your business in 12 months. You know, I don't know anybody who doubles their business and doesn't have to use time to get there to begin with. You know, it was Diana Kokoska who taught me, at least, that you can't, let me see if I get this right, you can't lighten a load until you're willing to feel the burden of it. Well, many people would love to double their income without feeling the burden. I don't think it works that way. I think you have to be willing to feel the burden and then find ways to buy your time back. You know, so if you're working 30 or 40 hours a week right now, making 200K, and you want to go to 500K, congratulations, that's cool. You may have to go work 70 hours a week for a while. But people don't want to. You may have to. And if you're willing to go and work 70 hours a week to earn 500, once you're doing it, I think you'll find ways to buy your time back. Though if you're unwilling to feel the burden of what that looks like, you won't even know what systems or models you're missing. You're just guessing at best. You're absolutely guessing at best. So two broad categories: you earn it or you receive it, and you're going to earn it before you can receive it, and that's okay. You take it in steps. Think about school. You go from one grade to another grade. Well, earning it's one grade, receiving it's another. That's all right. Just be okay with what grade you're in right now. Also, when you get to a new grade, don't go back to the old one. And so many of us in real estate, what we'll do is we'll get to a new grade, and as soon as that grade's difficult, instead of pressing through, we go back to the old grade because we're so damn comfortable with it. Well, that's a problem. Who on earth said that this was going to be comfortable or fun? Newsflash, it's not comfortable, it's not fun. In fact, earning and netting and receiving $1 million is a boring business. Gary once told our private group, he said, listen, I want you to leave the door this week, and I want you to go back home and build the most boringest business that you could possibly build. Then use the money from a boring business to go and live a high-speed, fast, exciting life. Your business doesn't need to be high-speed, fast, or exciting, and if it is, then you're probably not making very much money, and you're probably not impacting very many lives. We want a boring business to live a fast-paced life. It's just counterintuitive. It's not what we think about. It's like in the one thing where Gary talks about thinking small to live big. I want you to aim small to live big. You get my point. Be ready to go back when needed. Agents, I do it. Managers, we do it. Owners, others do it. Now with owners, remember, you're also setting the example. So what you do or don't do, quite frankly, has an impact. It dictates everything. All right, so now I've got a hard stop. It's been 30 minutes, and thank you for being a part of the webinar today. I trust you got something out of it. Ben Fairfield, thank you for doing this. I understand you've had a number of guest speakers. I've had the pleasure of being on twice so far, so thank you for doing that. Thanks for hosting this MREA book club series, if you will. Have an awesome day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.